excellent connection. Wow. I can't believe it. I'm live. Okay. So, I didn't announce this, and so I have no viewers. Let's actually see if... I'm going to check my stream settings. Manage webcams. That's interesting. Concurrent viewers 2. That means somebody's actually watching. Well, if you're out there watching today, do identify yourself. Because, oh, hey, Blifton. How you doing, buddy or gal? I don't know if Blifton is a male or a female, but okay. We're just getting started tonight, and we're going to have nothing but fun. I don't know how long I'm going to go. Could be a half hour, could be 3 hours. You just never know. But I have my tasty beverage. Which I'm not going to describe because I've done that in other videos. So, okay, so here's what's going on. I decided to go ahead and chop together the end of the show, because at this point you can see here Sony Vegas, which is on another screen. What I probably should do is, the problem is I've got 3 screens and I really need 4. Okay, but okay, so we'll just do a quick illustration here of what's cooking. So back here we've got everything that's been happening over the last few weeks. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so down here, downstream, I thought, you know what? I've got what ostensibly is several minutes of show that I put together, that represents the end of the show. And okay, Blifton's a dude. Cool, man. So I thought, you know what? We're going to go ahead and chop this together. And I see one thing here that I'm noticing at the moment. I really probably should do just to keep things consistent on my timeline. And I tell you what I need to do is in OBS, because like right now you can't see what I'm doing. So let's do this. If you can bear with me, since we're just getting started here, let's set up another screen so that we can actually dolly between the shots. So yeah, I've got to create a new screen. So I don't want to delete it. I want to add a new screen, and we'll call this screen 2. And I'm going to need to move OBS over here, and then I'm going to add display capture, and we're going to create a new display capture. And yes, it is in fact going to be the screen that display 1. Okay, so that's interesting. So bear with me, folks. Yeah, so this is interesting. And Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the settings for this other screen, and it's got audio input capture, but when I transition to it, I'm not actually seeing it in the list of screens. Screens is not the right word. So now the audio is probably gone because the truth of the matter is I really don't have, I'm one screen short of what I need to be. So right now you guys are looking at the that screen. So fine. Let's move Vegas back up there so that we're not going bananas. Okay, so what I was trying to do is, I believe it's my D key here. Yeah, I need to grab all these guys and then move these back down. Okay, so here's what we have going on here. Okay, that, and let me just check. Okay, cool. All right, I want to make sure things are working as advertised. Next time I stream, I'll probably tweak my streaming settings to see if I can lower the latency so I don't have 15 seconds between when I say something and when I actually see action on the live stream. But anyway, so what I did was I started rendering out the shots that I did at the end of the show. So I'll just kind of play this to give an indication of what I am. Hold on a second here. Oh, OBS, you are driving me bananas. Boom. Sorry about that. I had to do the transition, and I know there's no webcam now. Let me see if I can... You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to put the webcam on the second screen. So now we're looking at Sony Vegas, right? And so I'm going to hit the playback button and just kind of see. It's pretty cool because I'm seeing how things are, how the storytelling is looking, and it feels pretty good, actually. There's been a few shots that I've needed to go in and tweak some details on, but generally speaking, I feel like the action's pretty good. Now, this sequence here is a lot of fun. It's kind of funny. Every time I watch it, it makes me chuckle. So he's like, "Come on," and he's got to go across this this stream, and he resolves to do it, and she's not about to be outdone. And so here we go. She is really starting to get on my nerves. And there they go. Off the kids go, and they've made their way to this cave where Mel kind of gives them the lowdown on the situation, what he has to do. He has to go to, I believe it's Nippur. He's got to travel to Nippur at first light. And she's like, well, I can't go here and I can't go there because she's got situations in her life that keep her from being able to. She can't really go back home. She just realized that she lost her pendant. Oh my goodness. I must have, now that needs lip sync. I must have dropped it when we ran away from the fire. So that shot's definitely got to get some work done. Oh man, the soldiers are going to know I lied. Oh well, I want to stick with you. And that actually makes Mel happy. So this is literally the end of the show, where the three kids realize that their best option is to throw in together. Mel made a joke, and the characterization here is way, way off, so that shot needs fixing too. But then they realize something's wacky with TNR, what's going on. And she resolves that her best option as well is to go to Nippur at first light. And actually that kind of makes Mel happy. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing a few things here that need some work, but generally speaking, not too bad. So we're pulling out, and it's basically the end of the show, except there's this little tag on the end where the bad guy who's pursuing them finds the pendant and says they were here. And that's the end of the show. Boom. And now we've set everything up successfully to go ahead and continue into the next episode. So this is a 48-minute long episode, so it's pretty long. Right now, if you look at this, I've rendered about, gosh, man, I think I've rendered a third of what I have here at the end, and it's almost 3 minutes. So yeah, we're definitely doing pretty good on our time. So now bear with me, I'm going to switch screens again and get back to normal here. So boop. Okay. So now the question becomes, what the heck are we going to do? This process is not particularly glamorous, I will tell you. So if anybody has like questions or whatever, just shoot them out there. Pokemon, and I will do my very best to answer as we go. So what I'm going to try to do here, if it's not too obnoxious, is kind of keep things on a single screen. Okay, so I'm not going to go back and do the fixes right now. What I want to do is just kind of take these shots one at a time, see if there's any really egregious issues, and if so, we'll address them. Now, in Krita, I'm actually using the beta 4.4.0. So far, I gotta say, it's proving to be pretty stable. It's looking pretty good. And the reason I'm trying it is because the big difference between the version of Krita I've generally been using is that stability. It performs very well. It's performant, but it's not very stable. It crashes actually kind of a lot. This version of Krita, actually, I tell you, I've been working all day, and I don't think it's crashed once. So there was one time where I detected a bug and had to restart it. But basically, I'm feeling pretty good about Krita 4.4. So now, Ineos asks, was it too much trouble switching from OpenTunes to Tahoma during production? It was no trouble at all. Tahoma is OpenTunes. There's just a few bugs fixed and a couple new tools, but basically, it's OpenTunes. So there's no problem. Now, what I did, by the way, I don't know that this would work if you're going from OpenTunes to Tahoma. In my case, I went from Tahoma to a newer version of Tahoma because I sort of got the backroom tip on a build that has a feature that for me is very, very interesting. Okay, and I'll explain that in a minute. And so what I did was I took all the files that are in the root of the Tahoma folder and copied. She's all together in this shot. I don't know if this, yeah, I think this does include her eyes and stuff. So I'm going to hit select all. I'm going to go Control C. Okay, and now I can go over to Tahoma, create a raster level. Okay. And if I invoke the selection tool and then hit Control V, it cuts and pastes with alpha from Krita or any other program you're using. So now why is that interesting? That's super interesting because, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Because if I want to take frame by frame animation that I've done in Krita, which we have here, okay, and let's say I have this character and I want to just do some secondary animation really quickly, okay, which in this case, this is what that would look like. It's this quick. I would hit the X key, create a mesh. I'm going to probably turn down the density of the mesh. Yeah, like so. I'm going to add a couple bones, jump into animate mode, and that's it. That's it. Okay, so now I could adjust the bones, but let's just say I wanted to do some secondary animation with a little turn of the head. Okay, it's that quick to set up. Now to do the same thing in Blender, I won't cover now because I've covered it copiously in previous videos over the last couple weeks. But in Blender, I would have to save out this image, save it to disk, load it into Blender, map it to a plane, And I have been really endorsing this workflow because it's so fast. Okay, map it to a plane, subdivide it, add some shape keys, you're good to go. Well, guess what? This is even faster. This gets me from a static image of a character. Like you could have something like this in this shot. I'll give you an example of in this shot of what would be quite useful. Not that it's appropriate to this shot, but let's say over the course of 2 seconds, I want her expression to soften a little bit. Okay. Boom. And I'm going to just turn off that layer. And there it is. Look at that. So that's what I call secondary animation. You're just adding a little bit of keys to just give it some character and some movement. Well, you're talking about literally build up the character in Krita, cut and paste, go, you're done. I mean, the whole thing takes a minute instead of about 3 minutes. And when you're talking about the number of shots I'm dealing with, that time matters. Look at this. The show has 797 shots. So 3 minutes here and 3 minutes there that can be turned into 10 seconds does matter. So sorry, Blender. I loved you yesterday. I love you less today. And kudos need to go out to Jeremy Bullock for adding that to Tahoma, because basically, I don't think it was because of me. Someone else had requested it, but Tahoma came out, and I posted something to Darren T, which I think he passed on to Jeremy, maybe, saying, "Hey, man, what about cut and paste? Because I know you can do it with an application that's built on Qt, which is like a cross-platform C++ programming library." Other applications, including Krita, are built on Qt, so I know it's possible to do cut and paste with a Qt application, which is what OpenTunes is. And like 3 days later, he's got a build that's got cut and paste. It's like, finally, I've been waiting like 2 years for OpenTunes to have proper cut and paste. So now, functionally speaking, Krita is just part of OpenTunes. You know, if I can build up a character and maybe add some frame-by-frame animation and then just cut and paste it over into, OpenTunes, which, we're going to stick with Tahoma for the moment, then as far as I'm concerned, the two are working together seamlessly and we're in good shape. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with that. Now this shot, let's let this play one time. I want to make sure... Yeah, okay, so I'll go ahead and save it. I don't actually know if I made any changes that are germane to my storytelling, but okay, so again, if anybody has questions, just fire them up. Fire them out, I should say. Shout them out, however you want to call it. And again, I'll do my best. So as far as this goes, this is not actually a real shot, so let's get back to business here. Okay, so in our edit, we are at shot number 756. So let's turn off our preview and let's get to here. And okay, so 755.cra is the shot of the moment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually looking on another screen, looking at 755 to see if there's a cra image in the folder, and I think there is. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's see what happens in this shot. On my other screen, I'm also looking at the script from time to time. But let's see what we have here. I have no idea what happens in this shot. Okay, this is Luca. He's talking to these soldiers, and he's got to sort of scam his way through the situation. So we just need to render it. And what we're going to do is we're going to render it in folder number 755. Can you imagine? This is a lot of organization. And I would like to say I'm pretty well organized, because, man, you got to be. Okay, so it's 755 dot. And one thing I have also noticed is that Krita, at least this version of Krita, 4.4, alpha or beta or whatever they're calling it, renders really fast. I mean really fast. Much faster than OpenTunes. It is an order of magnitude faster. So I'm liking that too. So now I'm gonna bear with me because I'm gonna do my best to like sort of intelligently switch screens where it makes sense to do so. So boom, I'm gonna transition over here. And what we see is we're back to Vegas, and in Vegas we're going to go ahead and bring in that image sequence into the edit. So that was shot number 755. Boom, I'm going to go to the render folder, grab this image, open the sequence. Boom, hope you guys don't mind me saying boom a lot, because I tend to say boom a lot. And now we cut it into the show. And then what I tend to do is, once I've, sort of cut it in there. Okay, yeah, so he's basically, I can't remember what he's saying, but he's kind of lying to these guys. And, well, see ya. And, okay, so there is one thing we need to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and do this transition back to here. And, sorry, we don't want Tahoma. We don't want Tahoma, we want Krita. Okay, and the thing I see that's a little problematic is actually his mouth. So right now what we see is his mouth is actually too dark for this shot. I will guarantee you that the lip sync is on its own layer. Yep, there it is. Okay, so the cool thing is we can just dial it in like this. Probably about there. Okay, we'll save that and re-render. Just hit R key. It's already set up for the render. Krita warns me that that if you're going to create a cartoon, you're going to be doing this stuff. This is what the work is about. So I'm in another screen, grabbing the Krita folder or Krita file, pulling it in. I want to turn off the label, and let's just kind of see what happens here. Okay, I don't know what his dialogue is, and frankly, I don't care. We're going to render this. This is going to go into 754. So we'll just scroll down here to 754. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So again, this would actually be a good time, a good evening for people who do have questions of any kind about animation and workflow or politics, religion, or whatever nasty stuff you guys want to talk about. It's all good. This would be a good night to ask questions because I'm just doing grunt work at this point. So jumping back to my browser to see, it looks like nobody really has much to say, so that's fine. Alright, so I'm going to go back here and transition back to Vegas. Okay, so back in Vegas, I got shot number 754. Let's bring it in. Boom. 754 in the render folder. Got 100 frames. It's all looking good. Drag it into the timeline. Butt them up together. And again, every time I do this, I do just sit and watch it. He's asking him some kind of question, and Luca's kind of faking his way through the situation. And then he's like, well, see you later. There's a fair amount of fun humor in this show. I find it amusing. So okay, so now here is kind of the less I guess you'd say the more serious-minded soldier. He's all business. And this, again, let me double check that. Lost my mouse. 753. Okay, so in this other screen, what I'm doing is, just for anyone who cares, for every single shot you've got, well, I shouldn't say every shot. There are some shots that don't have a folder because they were done completely in OpenTunes, and there's no need to save the assets outside of the OpenTunes project. But most of the scenes have a folder, and so the key assets are in that folder. Just drag them in, and now because I don't want to go bananas here, I'm going to keep that in the other screen. So I actually have 3 screens going on. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And okay, so hey, what's up, Dave? I'm just lurking today. Hey, feel free to lurk. It's cool. It's all good. All right, so once again, let's just check this out and see what we got going on here. Yeah, looks like we've got about 100 frames. So let's say this is 753. Let's render it, and then we'll cut it into the show. So scene 753. Boom, 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 boom. Right there. Render. That's the folder, and we're going to put it in 753 dot. And again, it renders pretty fast. So now I'm going to go here. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to go to transition back up to Vegas. So this isn't too horribly time consuming. Render, open the image sequence, there it is, we're good. Drag it into the timeline, bottom up, and see how it flows. Oh, well, well, see you later. Okay, so everything's working. Transition, and I'm running Brave. My the browser I'm running is Brave, which is like a stripped down, less stupid version of Chromium, and I'm quite happy with the performance, I must say. Okay, so nothing else to be done with that shot, and actually, yeah, we'll save it. All I did was mute the essentially mute the label. Okay, so now we go back here, and let's go to the next shot. Okay, 752. So this is when Luca is at the fire. So going over to my folder, 752, and indeed there is a Krita file in there. And let's drag her in. And I suspected this. It's a big file because it's mainly because of the fire. So let's mute that and then see what we have. So let's hit the rewind button and hit play. Nice. Okay. Okay. And again, we're talking, yeah, about 100 frames. So let's render that, baby. Again, 752. We're going to go into folder 752. So I will say that you can be much less organized than I am. And I don't know where the point of diminishing returns is, where all of a sudden things get enormously more complicated. But it happens fairly quickly. I mean, I don't know if I don't think you get very far into a project before it becomes unwieldy. Let me go back here. I want to make sure I'm on the right screen. I am on the right screen, so let's transition up to here. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to load 752. Boom. 752. So yeah, there's nothing glamorous about this work. This is pure grunt work, man. Bring this baby in. But I really wanted to kind of see how the end of the show looked when it was actually edited together. Pretty happy so far. So he's basically BSing the soldiers as best he can. And again, I'd say it feels pretty good. No complaints. So let's transition back to here. Close this up and go to the next shot. So I'm checking my browser to see if there's any... Hey, Darren, what's going on? Jesus, dude, what... What is it, like 3 in the morning there? You're crazy. Why are you even out of bed? I am impressed. You got more stamina than me, dude. Okay. Alright, so 751, and that's a crop file, so there it is. And let's see. Okay, so what do we have here? Oh, it's just this monkey. Okay, so now I see a problem. Let's go to his mouth, and yep, we got an erroneous keyframe there. So, yeah, Darren, I already demonstrated the Tahoma cut and paste thing. So, these shots that I'm going through, I'm rendering them out and I'm editing together the end of the show so I can just kind of see how things are chopping together. It's looking really good. But yeah, I did cover. So some of the shots were done in OpenTunes. Some of them are done in Krita. We earlier today I passed through a bunch of scenes that were all OpenTunes, and now we're sort of passing into the Krita zone. So I would say this needs to be rendered up to about 68 or so. So let's go ahead and modify the Krita file a little bit and hit the Control R, which by the way is not default. You have to set that up yourself. So this is going to be 751. So we go to scene 751. And I said it before, but I'll say it again because new people are popping in. This is a good night to ask questions if you have them, because I'm just doing pure grunt work. Okay, so 751, as you can see, this is Krita 4.4. Alpha or beta, I'm not sure which. I've been streaming for half an hour, man. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Since Darren's here, Darren and I'm gonna, dude, I'm gonna call you Oxer because when I first got to know you, you were Oxer, and I always forget what your first name is. Like last name's Briscoe, right? The first name's escaping me, so please post it. I'm having like a major brain fart. That's what happens when you're over 50, man. Your brain starts to go. Good to see the shots come together. When you put the first section together, it made everything seem more real somehow. Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Let's take a look at how the latter part is coming together. Let's go down here, and what I'll do is put the edit on best full mode so that you can kind of see. I'm going to just let this run. So if you kind of were here like Ineos-san and Blifton, if you've already seen this, sorry to bore you, but this is basically, what do we have here? It's basically the last, gosh, I mean, this is about 3 minutes actually. But this will give you a flavor for kind of what's going on now that we can finally see it chopped together. I mean, we don't want to give away the whole farm, but you know what? It's cool to see how it's working. Now that shot probably needs a zoom, digital zoom. So basically, Luca is BSing these guys because Mel and Tianara had just dove into the bushes when these guys showed up. Okay, so then Luca pops through here. Come on, follow me kind of thing. Now this part I find kind of funny. I never seem to get tired of watching it over and over and over again. But you can see he crosses the river and Mel's like, I don't know about this. But then he steels himself with resolve and goes for it. Which Tianara, not to be outdone, I love this part when she passes him. She is really getting on my nerves. So anyway, I'll stop there. It's then they land at this cave, and then it kind of sails through to the end of the episode. So with that, we will go ahead and I'll check my browser to see if there's any questions or anything that came up. Doesn't look like it. And so now we're going to close this guy since we already rendered it. And on to the next shot. So let's look at the storyboard and see what we have to do. We just rendered this. Okay, so this is Luca obviously being a little bit rattled in some way, shape, or form by these guys. And so let's pull this into Krita. Boom. Yeah, literally all day long, Krita has not crashed one time. So again, for those who are keeping score, 4.4.0 beta 1. It has gone crash-free all day. I'm really thrilled with that. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be about, let's just do 62. I mean, we don't need to have it be overly long. All right, so let's mute the label. And I am not totally happy with his eyes, but I don't know that I want to fix them now. I'd rather get this stuff rendered out, then I'll look at the edit, see what shots need a little work, and we'll go in and address that later. So hence the reason why I said tonight's a good night for people to ask questions, because this is just pure what I call grunt work. Grunt work, my friends. All right, here we go. I should have said it the way Darren would say it. Hello, friends. That was a pretty good imitation, wasn't it? Hello, friend. An episode of Deltora Quest and an episode of Gurren Lagann into the show, just so I could, it's good to be reminding yourself of sort of the aesthetic or quality that's expected. And the thing that I found really interesting about Gurren Lagann is if we start toggling through it like frame by frame. Okay, let's look at this shot, for example. This is really interesting because, as you can see, it's pretty obvious that this only was... Okay, so you've got that keyframe, and now you've got this keyframe. Now look at this. Let's let it play. Okay. He only drew that one time. You can tell. That was only drawn one time. And although you do see a little change here in the lower jaw, basically what I'm seeing is, if you just go through it slowly, you can see that most of the time, look at this. Almost all of their animation is just taking the static frames. Now there you've got a little bit of that shake where you ink it twice so it has a natural shake to it. But basically, very little deformation. Even this is actually a super good example here. Because as you can see, what they did was, look at the upper part of his face. You can see that it was drawn one time. And then they drew probably they drew just this section, but almost everything here is actually just a single static shot that's being moved around. So I was kind of surprised to see how little deformation animation actually takes place. They really, really focus on the keyframes, the key drawings, and then use camera movement, shake, and loops and repetition, effects like that